So you're in the market for a new iPad and you're wondering if you should get one, which one. I mean, all iPads are fairly solid, they all offer something, some value for the price, and the question is which one is specifically for you. Should you really pay that extra for Air, for Pro? Maybe you should just try something new, go for iPad mini. And on the other hand, you also have some refurbished iPad Pros that are on the Apple website. So this is all big mess for you if you are not into tech, if you are not a techie person. So let me break this down for you. So before I quickly actually start going into the details of this iPad comparison, well, these get a little bit techy. So if you want to have direct conclusion and direct my recommendations that which iPad you should actually choose, well, then I'll give somewhere timestamp so you can skip actually to the conclusion in which I tell you which iPad is specifically for you. And now let's get to the very detailed comparison. Which iPad should you buy in 2022? And again, you want a sum up version, conclusion down in the description. Enjoy. And just for the pure simplification, I will mostly limit my buying recommendations to the new iPads that you can buy directly from Apple, but I will also mention some, at least when I will be talking about iPad Air 5, I will mention those refurbished iPad Pros, so make sure to stay tuned for that, for the later part of the video. And now, without wasting any extra unnecessary time, let's get to the point. And the point is actually iPad 9. The default iPad, the $329 iPad that you can get directly from Apple. And it's a great deal. This is the iPad, in my opinion, for most people. Even though it has older design, older Apple Pencil, doesn't have the full capabilities of these more expensive iPads. This is the iPad that gives you 85% of all the possible capabilities of all the iPads. It's plenty fast for day-to-day use, has decent screen, sharp screen, has center stage if you are into that. If you are into FaceTiming with your iPad, it still has the capability of center stage. And yes, you lose something of that. You don't have that stereo speakers coming from both sides, you don't have USB-C, you don't have newer design, Apple Pencil 2nd generation, but this is the base iPad. And if you're on a budget, if you think iPad will give you a nice value, and I'm sure it will, you wanna read on it, watch some movies, maybe with the headphones, speakers are still solid, but they are nothing compared to, for example, iPad Pro or even Air. So make sure to remember that. And yeah, this is the base iPad that you wanna get if you are on a budget, or if you are not necessarily sure that you need an iPad, then iPad 9 is a choice. But then, assuming that you don't like this older design, you don't necessarily like that home button, non-laminated screen, which means that actually the actual screen and the glass, they are not glued together, which doesn't give you such a nice experience compared to the all other iPads that have laminated screen. So we have up category, which is iPad mini 6 and iPad Air 5, the newly released iPad Air 5. And these iPads, depending on the size that you need. Well, with iPad mini, this is the previous generation, iPad mini 5, but it's pretty much a very similar use case compared to mini 6. Well, you gotta remember, if you're into that iPad, that it offers great capabilities. It has the processor from iPhone 13 Pro, which is really a beast. It has upgraded speakers compared to the iPad 9, newer design, Apple Pencil 2nd generation, center stage again, and it's cheaper than iPad Air 5. So the value of this iPad is really great in my opinion. It offers you plenty of power, great screen, again, really tons of great capabilities. And this is the iPad, if you're into smaller form factor, iPad mini 6 is gonna be great. But you just have to be sure that you are into that smaller form factor. Maybe you have that $500 and you know that you don't necessarily want to carry 11-inch tablet with you. Well, then the mini 6, this is a great choice. This is your only choice. The value, the way this device is solid, this is just great for you. And if you are into mini, well, mini 6 is definitely for you and you are not gonna be disappointed at all. But on the other hand, assuming that you like everything about iPad mini 6, but you just don't like this smaller screen, you wanna do more multitasking, maybe you want Magic Keyboard capabilities, maybe you just want a bigger tablet, you have iPhone 11 Pro Max, you have some smartphone that's almost as big as iPad mini 6 and you're like, nah, this is not for me. Well, then for $600 you have iPad Air, which is like iPad mini 6 that actually grew a little into almost 11-inch screen, and that's pretty much the iPad Air 5. Yes, it's more powerful because it has the M1 chip. It's actually the cheapest device with the M1 chip. But if you have seen my previous video when I talked about the best iPad you can buy right now, well, I mentioned that iPad Air offers a great value. It's a very solid device, plenty of power. There's also the option of those refurbished iPad Pros that you have on Apple website, and they offer you higher refresh rate screens. They offer you better audio for actually cheaper or the same price as iPad Air 5. So if you are into that market, make sure to check my previous video where I break down specifically the differences between iPad Air 5 and the refurbished iPad Pros. So if you are into market for like $500, $600, 11-inch iPad, then make sure to check that video, which I will definitely link somewhere here. But to sum things up like very quickly, you wanna go for the most amount of power for that $600. iPad Air 5 is gonna be great. Like, this is the iPad for most people, since you know it offers the newer design. It looks fairly modern, way more modern compared to iPad 9. It's bigger than iPad mini 6, thus some may assume it's more functional. On top of that, it has that stereo speakers, it has that USB-C. It has also obviously center stage, Touch ID built into the top button, the wake up button, just like iPad mini 6. So it's overall a very solid iPad for most people that has tons of capabilities. It also has multiple colors which you can, choose and buy it directly from Apple. So it's a great device. But there are also other alternatives that are the refurbished iPad Pros that you can also get from Apple, and they offer that promotion screen, that higher refresh rate. And if you don't know what that is, it basically makes the whole animation smoother and they look snappier, better. So even though those previous iPad Pros are technically slower than the new iPad Air, they actually will give you better experience when it comes to gaming, when it comes to navigating throughout iPad OS, because of that higher refresh rate screen. So even though they have less power, they actually feel faster and they actually may offer you way better experience when it comes to gaming, since you can actually use the power these iPads have and play like 120 FPS games. So there is that. And if you really don't see that much of a difference, well, then I guess iPad Air 5 is gonna be great for you. But again, if you wanna hear more info about that comparison, make sure to check my previous video that I'm addressing this thing in more and more details. And now the top dogs, these are those newer iPad Pros, the M1 iPad Pros that Apple is still selling. And the first one is the 11-inch iPad Pro. And it's in a kind of hard position right now because you have those refurbished iPad Pros as well as iPad Air. So like, what's so specific about this product? Well, the thing is that this M1 iPad Pro combines the main advantages of the refurbished iPad Pros with the iPad Air. It has the same processor, that beastly M1 chip that offers you tons of performance, tons of support for years, just like the one on the iPad Air. It also has 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM. It allows you to up the storage up to 2 terabytes. So if you are into that, there is that for you. It has the Thunderbolt port for faster data transfer, and it has that promotion display, which iPad Air 5 does not have. So like, it also has more storage. So like, if you wanna up the storage compared to the iPad Air 5, then the 11-inch iPad Pro is for you. You wanna go for the best longevity overall, 11-inch iPad Pro is for you. But like, you gotta be careful with that because the new iPad Pro, like about 6-7 months from now, is on the way. So if you can wait, if you wanna wait, if you can afford that, then this is definitely the option for you. But still, I feel like the 11-inch iPad Pro, especially now if you can get it on Amazon cheaper than $800, is gonna be a great value. Like, as I said in many reviews that I will also link in the description, like, this iPad Pro is just a full package for me. It offers literally anything. The experience, although limited within iPad OS, is still like pure perfection when it comes to performance, smoothness, the audio coming out from those 4 speakers. Again, Even if you wanna use the cameras, they are still plenty capable in daylight. So like it's a very capable device. It's the full iPad experience. But assuming full iPad experience is not enough and you actually wanna go for even more, then you have 12.9-inch iPad Pro, which is way more expensive than all the other iPads. It's like $10.99, so the price increase is very noticeable. It also has the M1 chip, just like the 11-inch iPad Pro and the iPad Air 5, but it has that huge 12.9-inch mini LED display, which offers you promotion as well as, you know, the 11-inch iPad Pro, but it gives you better contrast, better brightness, better peak brightness. Overall, if you're into watching HDR movies, if you're into the best possible audio coming out of the 4 speakers that iPad Pro has, then the 12.9-inch mini LED iPad Pro for $10.99 is the choice for you. It's also the choice for people who really want to replace their laptop with the iPad Pro. Even though, you know, I would argue if this is a good idea or not. For me, it's actually not the best idea. I would just get the MacBook Air or something like that. But if you want to do that, if you want to get that Magic Keyboard and have that like laptop replacement with that bigger screen, you enjoy that watching that HDR videos, maybe you're an artist and you care about that. Although again, if you're an artist, you can get the 12.9-inch iPad Pro for like $600-700 on the refurbished Apple section. So, you know, I would again steer clearly toward that, because you don't necessarily need M1 iPad Pro to actually, you know, enjoy the drawing experience, you know, with the 2nd generation Apple Pencil and that promotion display. So, you know, again, that mini LED iPad Pro is actually for people, you know what you are getting. Like, you don't need the guide if you are going for the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. You know you are into HDR, you know that this is the thing that you want, this is the newest, this is the more expensive, this is the iPad Pro that's gonna replace anything for you, and then the 12.9-inch is your choice. And it may have sounded, you know, all quite techy, all quite specification. So this is the summary, this is the section that you've been probably referred to on the beginning of the video. So to sum things up for you very quickly and give you some recommendations. You're on a budget, you just want the very capable iPad, you go for iPad 9. Then you wanna up the game, you either have to decide between iPad Air 5 and the iPad Mini 6. You know, that depends on the size. You want newer form factor, you have that $500-600. iPad Mini 6, iPad Air are for you, depending on the size that you prefer. And then you wanna up the game, you wanna go for the best capabilities, for the most capabilities, you up the game again to the iPad Pro. Although very few people can take advantage of that M1 chip, of overall the iPad Pro experience. So if you want the Pro model, but you don't necessarily want to pay the extra price, well, as I said in the video, as I made the previous video, there are those refurbished iPad Pros on Apple website, which I'm also talking about in my previous video, which is a link in the description or somewhere here. So that will be my recommendation. Which iPad would I buy? Well, to be perfectly honest with you, if I had the money, I would still go for those refurbished iPad Pros, either 2018 or 2020, because like most people don't need the power of M1, and like these Pro features that you get with those previous iPad Pros are really great. They give you full iPad OS experience. So these would be the iPads that I would recommend. But again, you wanna go for top longevity and you still want a Pro experience, iPad Pro M1 is for you. You don't care about promotion, you just want a new colorful beautiful iPad, then iPad Air 5. You want some mini form factor in that newer design, fully capable tablet, then iPad Mini 6 is your choice. And again, you're on a budget but you still want an iPad, iPad 9 is gonna be great. So I hope you did enjoy. If you did, I would really appreciate you pressing that like button. And if you have any questions, suggestions, comments, make sure to let me know down right now in the comment section. I'll gladly answer any of your questions and stuff like that. You know what to do. Hope you did enjoy. Until next time.